Hi guys, my name is Moran. Welcome to my channel. These are very different stories from multiple subreddits, which just baffled me, so I wanted to share. And without further ado, let's dive in. Am I the asshole for telling my friend that his girlfriend's food is gross? I, 24 male, spend a lot of time at my friend Jake's 25 male house, gaming, watching movies and anime, or just being chill. About 6 months ago, Jake started dating Danny, 27 or 28, and she started spending most of her time at his place as well, as she basically moved in. So I see her almost every time I hang out with Jake. Danny is fine, she always seems nice enough, but there's one thing that just bothers me about her, and that's her food. In the few months I have seen her eat some of the most bizarre and gross looking foods. Examples: she ate a bowl of crackers, like regular big square ones, with milk like it was cereal. A sandwich that was just butter and sugar. Strawberries and milk on top of biscuits, like the American ones. And way more examples that I didn't put here. Eventually I just ignored, but today she made something that I just couldn't ignore. She put pimento cheese spread on a hot dog bun and ate it with lauganma and oil with chilies. I wanted to gag when I saw it. I told Jake when I sat back down what she was eating, and he just looked over to the kitchen and back at me and just shrugged. I told him, why does Danny always eat the weirdest? Jake rolled his eyes and told me she could eat what she wanted, and that's when I told him that it was weird. She always seemed to eat the grossest imaginable. Anyway, after that he got mad and told me I should go home, and I did, but on my drive back he started texting me saying I was disrespectful to his girlfriend and he didn't think I should come over to hang out until I apologized. I honestly don't think I did anything wrong, and it's not like I told Dani herself. I thought her food was gross. Okay, so you basically think that saying that behind her back is better than saying it to her face. Definitely the asshole in this situation. Talking, especially unwarranted one, is awful and unnecessary. Nobody asked you, just sit down. What do you mean? There is this one thing that just bothers me about her. Why does it bother you? Who are you? Why are you in their house so much? Like, I don't get it. You are coming to the house where she basically lives. You watch her eat, and then you decide that for some reason you gotta comment on it. I wonder what would happen if the girlfriend would be like, why is your friend always sucking at games so bad? You know, it's unwarranted. Why does it even concern you? Her eating habits are none of your business. And I am being rough on this person just because the latest comment he made just was the last nail in the coffin for me, because you think it is better that you didn't say it to her face. So it's clearly telling me that this is the person who quite enjoys talking about people, even when it's none of their business. Okay, honey, why even? Actually, the last one that he named sounds pretty good. Strawberries and milk on top of biscuits. What's wrong with that? Sounds good. A sandwich that was just butter and sugar. That's just what we ate as poor Eastern Europeans, okay? I don't know about her and why she prefers to eat that. But when I was growing up, when you wanted something sweet and you had no money for candy or whatever, you put butter on toast and then you put sugar on it and you ate that. Or you put like jam on it if you had jam. Okay, so quit being weird about it, because she might also have very complicated relationship with food. She might have specific reasons why she eats weird shit. And even if she doesn't, it's none of your goddamn business. Once again, am I the asshole for telling my friend her beliefs suck in front of everyone? My friend Danica is really more of a friend-in-law. She became part of our group by virtue of being another friend's co-worker, but we all get along well enough. I don't think I would be friends with her if it was just her and me, but we have a decent time together at group events. The whole friend group is super gay, and one thing you might find surprising about queer people in their early mid-20s is that a lot of them them are very into astrology. I am absolutely not, having grown up in a hardcore Christian household, being strongly atheist now, and not interested at all in finding new creative ways to judge people for how they were born. I love how they put it. I don't even feel comfortable doing it for fun, and I have not participated when the group does astrology memes or asks me for my big three. They know my regular sign because they know my birthday, no control over that one. When the conversation in the group chat goes to astrology, I just don't respond until the topic changes to something else. Everyone else just does it for fun or as a joke, but the Nika really believes in it and is very defensive about it. I am in the midst of some very stressful late bloomer dating right now, and the Nika would often make negative comments on my matches based on their star signs, to the point that I stopped sharing screenshots of their profiles. I have told her not to make astrology related comments towards me because it makes me very uncomfortable, and she has cut back considerably but still sneaks in borderline comments that she thinks don't count, like oh so subtly responding to something with just a crab emoji. Anyway, I couldn't hold it in anymore when she was talking in the group chat about looking for a new roommate and how she turned someone down who was great except for being the wrong sign. Well, that is unhinged, I'm sorry. She was being very smug, talking about how she deserves to feel comfortable in her home and set boundaries who gets to be the major part of her life, and I sent a message saying that it was absolutely terrible of her to deny someone based off of star sign and that she was taking astrology way too far. She was big mad about that and responded very harshly, "Oh, I didn't realize we were judging people for their beliefs now," to which I replied, "Well, your beliefs suck. It's immoral to treat people differently based on their star sign. It's meaningless bullshit that they can't even control." She said, "There's actually way more to it than that." And I said, "There's actually not." Now there is drama in the group as everyone else is picking sides, but the most popular take seems to be that I should have just stayed in my lane because it wasn't directed at me. I don't want to deal with drama, but at this point I would be perfectly happy if I never talked to Danica again, and I'm hesitant to apologize. Well, I call the which is actually against the popular vote because Reddit served the not the verdict. But let me explain. Danica was being absolutely ridiculous. I think she took this whole astrology thing too far. Not every person fits into their astrological whatever. I've had that debate many times. I'm sure most of y'all did too, because this is for some reason such a touchy and popular topic. I had a friend who would do the same. She would judge everybody on their star sign, and when, for example, one of my boyfriends did something weird or bad or said something, she would be like, "Yeah, that's because he's Aquarius." And I was like, my grandma was an Aquarius and she wasn't a okay? It doesn't depend on a sign. You can be a terrible person in any sign. And I do think the whole thing is just why even, but the author, in my opinion, was the simply because it wasn't his place to confront her. I can get how you can get super annoyed to the point where you have to say something, but I mean, it does make you a bit of an asshole because that was being vicious for no reason. Yes, you can have a belief that astrology is a pile of bullshit. Nevertheless, I don't think it was author's place to be that harsh about it because, yeah, she is allowed to hold any type of beliefs that she wants, and even if they are ridiculous, there is no reason to be savage about it, especially when no one asked you. My favorite thing is like, nobody asked you, Patrice, and if nobody did ask you, then most likely you would be wrong to say something. There you go. Her beliefs are not hurting anyone. It is the apartment she will have to live in if she feels like star sign is a criteria that is so important that she can turn people down on it, then she has the right to do so, because again, it's her living space, it's her choice, even though that seems a little bit extra. Next is not a question, it is just a confession, but it did give me the why even vibes. So let's see. I just drank a little bit of my grandmother out of morbid curiosity. I think Reddit will have a kick with this. My Mau Mau passed away years ago when I was 12 and hit me severely in the gut with unresolved grief and depression. She has been cremated and my mom left me the responsibility to keep her urn in my room. I've since made her a shrine in her memory. My mom has now moved into a new place and lives across the states, and I'm planning to visit her in the next week. She requested I bring some of Mau Mau to spread her ashes in the river nearby her new house. Usually she likes to do this when we find a new place or a beach to take a little bit of someone we held close to our memory. Now, this is the first time I've touched the urn. It's never been opened since her cremation. I and my mother are very spiritual people, and I have the irrational fear that touching the urn somehow will cause some form of hex or misjudgment on my part, so I've never touched it. But I cannot take the entire thing with me, so I opened it and poured some into a tightly closed jar to take on the trip. In order to get the ashes out, I used a smaller measuring cup to accurately get a portion out of the container. With this, a film of residue was left in the smaller jar. In my extremely emotional, vulnerable state and morbid curiosity, when I went to wash out the small jar, I took a few sips from the murky water. I've since put the urn back in its place and refused to look in my Mau Mau's direction. I feel so conflicted. This grief is coming back, and now I feel a heavy sense of guilt and weight, like children who accidentally break a vase. I am not sure if I'm overreacting or I truly just did something bad. Parts of me wish I never did this and told my mom I couldn't promise her wish. The other part of me is conflicted with the immoral action that I committed, a meager act of cannibalism, if it's even considered to be that anymore. I'm lost, confused, and now thrown back into a state of grief, as if a part of my very dead Mau Mau has risen from the dead and has come back to haunt me for this stupid action. This is so confusing to me because the author first notes that they are afraid of causing some hex by touching the urn, and then they just go and drink the ash, which is very contradictory to me, but I can see how it might have been an impulsive decision. However, I think that's I feel very sorry for the author that they did that out of morbid curiosity, and obviously they're torturing themselves for this. I don't think they should blame themselves or feel guilty about it, because what's done is done, and it's not like you ate one of your grandma's fingers or something. But it is something very odd to do. I just think it's something that will stay with you forever now, and I'm sorry, but you can actually also look at this as your grandmother is forever part of you now. You know, I would definitely persuade myself in that, because I mean, from the spiritual point of view, you're not gonna cause any hexes or get yourself cursed, because that's your grandma. Unless she hated you, and it doesn't sound like she did, there isn't any bad energy, there shouldn't be. So think about it in a lighter way. But overall, when I read this, I was like, what, how, and why the fuck did this happen? So this is the Am I the Asshole story, and it is just beautiful in my opinion. Am I the asshole for not renaming my puppy because my sister wanted to use it for her unborn kid? This feels pretty dumb, but here's the situation. My sister is 7 months pregnant with her first kid. She and her husband didn't want to tell anyone the name of their to-be-born son until he's born. Fine by me, I'd probably do the same. Well, last week I adopted a pup and named him Eddie. I've always liked human names for dogs, and growing up on Ed, and Eddie, it just felt right. My girlfriend posted on Instagram a pic of Eddie with his new collar and custom dog bowl, and then my sister called me telling me I have to change the name because they are naming their son Edward after her father-in-law and will be calling him Eddie. I told her the dog is already named. It fits him. We bought stuff with the name already, and it's not like anyone will confuse a dog for a human anyway. She keeps insisting we do so and says I'm already being a bad uncle by not. Those people that go straight to guilt tripping. I hate them. This feels so stupid to me, but am I the before I read you the update, I just want to say this is dumb, as the author said, and I think your sister is being just a massive weirdo. I would maybe understand more if both of them were named Reginald. Right, that's like not a very common name. It stands out a lot, and it might seem to the outsider that y'all picked the same name for the dog and the human intentionally. But this is like one of the most common names on the planet Earth. Even if they call their son Eddie, author is right. It's not like people will confuse them all the time. Okay, this is just insane reasoning. And I hate, as I already said, how the sister instantly tried to guilt trip him into changing the name. It seems to me like one of those issues where people are just making up a problem on a spot, because it would be very, very different if he knew the name and he intentionally called his dog that name. Then yeah, it would be bad. But they didn't tell anyone the name. How is he supposed to know? You don't own a name. So no, take a step back, take a nap. You want the dog and your son to have different names? Change your name. There is a solution. Or if not, just sit down and take it. Anyway, let me read you the update. We are keeping the name, not because of this post, but last night our 2-year-old hugged him and said, "My Eddie," and that settled it for us. Have a great day, everyone. You too. That's the right decision. The sister, she can either change it or just shut up about it. Let's move on. So this story I just found extremely baffling, and it's am I for telling my boyfriend that I like video games. My 20 female boyfriend, 21 male, let's call him H, is an avid gamer and plays at least 4 or 5 times a week. I'm more of a book nerd, but I like to play video games occasionally. We are inviting some friends over this weekend for a game night, and I was telling H how excited I was and that even though I'm not a gamer, I still like video games, so it will be fun. H starts saying that since he's my boyfriend, that's okay to say around him, but I shouldn't say I like video games around other gamers, and gets upset. He said that I barely play games, and then when I do, it's just Minecraft or Super Mario games. I said that I don't have to be a florist to say I like flowers, so why are video games different? I ended up just dropping the conversation and going to a different room because I felt bad. It's been awkward between us since, so am I asshole? First of all, no. Second, leave him. Third, I do not like gamers. This is a very, very biased opinion. Before you get mad, I am just saying that the gamers that I encountered in my life are weird, and I didn't like them. They were strangely obsessed with things, and even if they are nice as people, they are getting real gatekeepy over video games, and I think this dude perfectly encapsulates all the problems I have with gamers, because he's like, you shouldn't say that you like video games because you like the simple ones and you don't play them like 12 hours a day, so don't say it to other gamers. And I really liked the author's response where she's like, well, you don't need to be a florist to like flowers, and I completely agree with her, because yeah, do we have to be in some like professional gaming league to like video games? I don't think so. I got actually a little bit annoyed at this, got triggered because, yeah, gamers, man. I'm a very, very avid reader, and I swear to God, even in my most pretentious years, I wasn't as obnoxious as all of the gamers I've ever met. I'm pretty sure there are some normal ass people out there, but it's just unfortunately I haven't encountered any of them yet. So, next story is, am I the for not wanting to hold my aunt's new baby? I, 18 female, don't like kids. I just don't. I will play with them if they're bored, but I won't go as far as to shout no at them instantly. I just prefer to be in my room when I know my baby cousins are over. I'll say hi as well, like to be respectful and stuff, but not chill, if you get what I mean. The other day, my aunt came over with her newborn baby girl that she recently gave birth to like a couple of months ago. She's cute and stuff, and I said hi and asked all the questions about life with a new baby to be nice. Then she asked if I wanted to hold the baby, and I said no thank you, and she got very angry with me about it and kept insisting I hold the baby, even though I said I don't want to. My mom tried to tell me to hold the baby, but I didn't want to, so I said no. A little backstory: when I was like 9 to 10, another relative brought over their baby, and they were like almost a year old. They asked me to hold the baby whilst they get their food, and I said sure, but I didn't know how to hold the baby because she didn't tell me, so I was just sitting there like with my hands underneath the baby. Then the baby started rolling and fell out of my hands onto the floor, and she cried, and my relative started berating me about it, and I cried, of course, because I'm being shouted at, and everyone was mad at me for dropping the baby, so I just went to my room and stayed there the entire time. Never held the baby after that, out of fear that I will drop them. I still don't know how to hold a baby properly, so I just said one final no and went to my room, and I could hear my aunt from the living room calling me disrespectful and that I am disgusted by her child. I'm not, I just don't want to hold the baby. I'ma just look from afar. My mother thinks I'm an for not wanting to hold the baby, even when I reminded her about that incident in the past. I don't think I was the but maybe I should have went along with it and held the baby. I'm not sure how my tone came across when I said no either, but maybe I was rude. Not sure, any help would be great. Okay, so not the that's for sure, 100%. I do not like how people get weird about their babies, and I really, really dislike people who think that babies is this one single thing of humanity where everyone should agree on. You know, those people who think that everyone loves babies, everyone just dies to hang out with babies, touch them, whatever. I don't know where they got that delusion, but it is really annoying. And I don't understand how the boundaries just go out of the window the second the baby gets in the picture. I mean, why are you trying to force a human being to do something they don't want to do? And I think that these people, like the aunt, get so offended by other people not wanting to touch their babies or hold their babies because they think that like this baby is the best thing in the world. And I get that, you know, I get that it's your child, so it's perfectly normal for you to think it is the best thing in the world. Just don't try to force it on other people, and don't get mad when other people don't think so, because for them it's just a random ass baby. In this case, I don't see that like anything is wrong, especially because the author had a bad experience with it. So maybe, just maybe, if someone explained to her properly how to do that, she would be more willing to do that. But again, they were just trying to spring the baby on her, and that went wrong. I can see why. There is no way in hell I am holding anyone's baby. So for me, this situation is perfectly clear. And like my refusal to touch it would not be coming from the position of trying to offend anyone. So author, sorry that you have to deal with that aunt who genuinely sounds very disconnected from reality. And I hope you can figure this out. Next up on the list of very strange and very baffling stories is, am I for writing spicy fanfiction despite having a husband. We keep circling back to fanfiction, which is strange in itself. The fanfiction seems to be the new rock music, you know? It's like people seem to have very weird and very prejudiced opinions about it for like no reason whatsoever. Let's explore this one. Hey, this is a throwaway for privacy reasons, and also English is not my mother tongue. I try to keep it short. I, 26 female, write fanfiction for at least 15 years. As I got older, my fanfictions got longer and more detailed and eventually a bit spicy. And I am a really big fan of Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold. So about 3 years ago, I wrote a fanfiction about him, and it has a few very explicit, very spicy scenes. And it's written in I perspective, and I write all my fanfiction in this perspective. My best friend joked about it and gifted me a printed version of it for my last birthday 2 weeks ago. She got it printed like a book, and because it has been a while, I started to read it just for fun. I left it in the living room, and my mother-in-law was over yesterday, and apparently she had a look at it and read one of the spicy detailed scenes. Well, it's not to miss that my best friend printed my name over the cover, and so she knew I wrote it. And she got mad and told me how filthy and it was to write such things about another man than my husband, and how I could do such things, and that I wasn't faithful imagining such things about another man. She told me a few family members and my sister-in-law and my father-in-law are very pissed at me, and I'm starting to get the feeling I shouldn't have written that story. Sister-in-law texted me that I was a cheating that escalated so out of proportion and so quickly. My husband hasn't heard about it yet. He's on a work trip and will come home in a few hours, so he doesn't have an opinion yet. Edit. So my husband came home and he already knew about it. Mother-in-law called him on the phone multiple times and he thought somebody died by how often she tried, so he answered it before coming home. And here is why I love my husband. He took the book and told me to gather all the spicy scenes I wrote, and that he would do all that to me what I wrote about after he ate dinner and read the scenes. First of all, your husband sounds real fun. I hope you did all that and more. You're not the asshole. Your mother-in-law is a monster who does not know what a boundary is, does not know what cheating is. I do not imagine being in that situation because I would probably just laugh right in her face. Because what do you mean? So if I write thrillers where people kill each other, am I a murderer? Is that how it works in her mind? Because that seems like it. And this is just so strange overall. I feel like the mother-in-law just has a lot of issues with sexual expression, and that reaction is so extreme to call him. And really, like, he's right that he thought someone died, because mother-in-law behaves like she just caught the wife with a plumber or something, which is just nuts to me. It is filthy and to write such things about another man than my husband. I don't know who Captain Cold is, but I'm pretty sure he's not real. So the mother-in-law needs to chill. This adds another layer of why even, because the dude isn't real. It is so interesting how some people are just like confusing fiction and reality and getting jealous of fictional characters. It's just a concept that someone made up. Those people are made to be liked. Those characters are made to be desired. So it's not strange that a person would want to, get with them and do some nasty things to them. It doesn't mean that the person doesn't love their husband. So weird. The fact that other relatives also jumped on that train makes me think that they're all a bit unhinged, and it gives me religious vibe. I don't know why, but this type of overreaction over explicit fiction gives me Christianity vibes. Am I the asshole for putting a girl's weird doll on the porch so I could sleep. Okay, this is the most absurd thing on earth to me. I've been seeing this girl for a couple of months now. For some context, she always comes to my house. Her roommates have a thing against random men coming over, but yesterday my house was being fumigated, so I asked if I could stay at hers, and because we've been seeing each other for a little while and her roommates said it was fine, I got to her house and we went upstairs, and her room was honestly decorated really cool. I was admiring all her lights and pictures and knickknacks when I noticed this horrifying little doll. It's this weird cat/clown thing, and no matter where you moved, it appeared to be looking at you. I'm also horrified of clowns. I said something about it and she said it was worth $300 and it was one of her most prized possessions. I asked her if we could put it in her car because it was creeping me out, and she said no because the heat could damage it. I said it was making me super uncomfortable and she told me I was being dramatic. After she fell asleep, I couldn't sleep because I just felt that creepy thing's presence. I ended up getting up and putting it on the porch. In the morning, she freaked out and demanded to know where it was. Once I told her and she went and grabbed it, she told me to get out. I thought she was being insanely dramatic. The doll was fine. I left and texted her later, and I think she's blocked me. Am I the asshole, or am I justified because I think I deserve to feel comfortable as a guest in her house? You are very much the what the are you thinking? Putting one of her most prized possessions outside, where it literally can get damaged, get stolen, get thrown out. What is this? I am seeing malicious intent, because if you were really just creeped out by it and didn't mean to accidentally get rid of the doll, you could have hidden it in a drawer. You could have put it in the bathroom, in the closet, I don't know, in some type of corner or whatever hiding place, any type of hiding place where it would be more or less safe. You could have told the girlfriend that you are horrified of clowns and this thing makes you feel very, very uncomfortable. And if you explained it, I don't think she would be like, no, I'm not hiding it because of this, because then it would probably mean that your relationship was also a bit strange. But overall, like, you could have just figured out a way to hide this thing for the time being where you are in the house, because you are not going to be there for like months. You were sleeping over, so I imagine it's not a very big problem to hide it in a drawer. The fact that you put it on the porch screams to me malicious intent. So yes, you are the who raised you to treat other person's belongings like this. And from the last sentence of this post, very entitled. Just listen to it. Am I the or am I justified because I think I deserve to feel comfortable as a guest in her house? Justified. Deserve. You aren't justified. She let you into her house, her rules. You have zero right to touch anything there without her permission, let alone the things that she finds valuable. So yeah, let's just move on. The last one is just a little confession that left me speechless. It's from True Off My Chest, and it's titled, "My husband talks like a pirate when we have sex and it's driving me insane." He started doing this about a year ago and won't stop. It's so annoying, and I've told him I don't think it's funny or sexy, but he called me a landlubber and a scurvy dog, then threatened to plunder my booty. I told him I was serious, and he said he tried to stop, but that was several months ago, and it's like he can't stop, and it's some kind of compulsion. Otherwise, our sex life is great, but just the other night when I took off my underwear and spread my legs, he cried out, "Thar she belows, ready the harpoon, lads." No, which I definitely didn't appreciate the whale comparison. I'm not overweight, and when he finished, he yelled out, "Yar!" My God. Okay. Like a pirate. And I just rolled my eyes. At this point, I don't think he can help it, and it might be a kink of his or something. So I'm trying to just go along with it and be supportive, even though it's very weird. This is literally the most obnoxious thing my husband does. So I'm luckier than a lot of women, I guess. Well, that you probably are, though it's hard to judge on this little story. I mean, I feel sorry for the author because she experiences discomfort, and I get her. It's not very fun when your husband sees your vagina and shouts out, bring out the harpoon, I guess. Bring out the Moby Dick, am I right? Despite the fact that this story is low-key hilarious, I sympathize with the author because I think, yeah, it must be very, very uncomfortable, especially when he doesn't seem to be able to stop. So, on the more serious note, I would like to advise taking him to a sexologist, because if you are having this issue which doesn't seem to get fixed in any way, maybe you should consult a specialist. This was the last story that just made me feel like, why even this happened? Why even this behavior? I hope you were entertained. If so, drop the like. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you with another video real soon. Bye.